Good evening, my wonderful drops of shadow, and welcome to the third episode of Into the Shadows. Tonight, we're going to be breaking in something rather interesting I find to be rather enjoyable, and I'm sure that so many of you cannot wait to delve in. But as always, as we must, as is, to support those that support us all, I will have a request to make of you. I want you to do your best to download Live 365. Listen to Hellfire Radio there. It is fantastic. Plus, also check us out on our website at hellfireradio.com. We're also available on the Instagram and the Twitch and the YouTube. Not to mention here, a Facebook Live. So I'm so glad to see so many of you going to be joining in to the festivities that is my Night of Shadows. Also, if you ever get the chance, and you would, there's a very worthy cause right now that is, without question, truly noble. It is the partnership with Native Americans, GoFundMe. There are wonderful prizes that people can donate to possibly receive several different types of wonderful consequences, up to and including, much to the chagrin of myself, a wax strip for every $10 that is donated, for starters, and several others up to and including tattoos upon people of their faces were coming off into the four figures, and the consumption of an extremely hot chip upon the great Scoops himself. There are several other bits of programming here at Hellfire that I can say without question, without doubt, without consequence, you don't want to miss. We do have greetings from Disgraceland, from the wonderful Justice, who just led us out, and I'm so happy that they were there. We have the awesome Tech Talk with Adam. We have the Scoops and Mischief Shit Show Theater, Friday Fuckery. And, of course, just the Scoops and Mischief show itself. And for those of you that are sports fanatics, don't forget we got 1524, a wonderful sports program that I can say I rather enjoy. So, rather than consistently deal with all this chaos and consistently try not to embrace this chaos, we're going to do our best to keep the chaos to an absolute minimum. And oh, bollocks.
Oh, bollocks.
Oh, hell.
Hi, BBs!
I have to do it. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the great Golf Daddy Defiance themselves. Dear gods, I have a feeling a headache is in my future.
I will make sure to give you migraine medicine later with a hammer.
Wonderful. Well, hopefully we can continue to stay on topic this evening, because tonight we're doing a deep dive into one of my favorite game series to ever have existed, Silent Hill.
Yay!
What are you me doing? What are you planning?
I love Silent Hill!
Okay, good. Well, let us at least say hello to our other drops of shadow. Who do we have here? We have Elizabeth and Kayla. How wonderful to see you. Beth and James, the other.
Hi, Jennifer.
We've got Jennifer. We've got Leanne. We've got Chantel. Oh my goodness. We have so many wonderful people here. So many. We've even got Paige. How wonderful. And Tristan, it is so wonderful to see you as well. So, let us delve in. Sheena, it is so good to see you. And of course, we've got Spirit of Flames. It is so wonderful to see you again, dear. You know, one of these days, I'm going to get all of my drops of shadow together and form quite a bit of shade to cast over all of the daters and the haters. Don't you just love that, don't you, Defiance?
Yes.
So, let us converse and discuss and contrive some thoughts and processes upon the great series that is Silent Hill. Began originally as a PS1 game, and its many uses of memory requirements in order to be able to create an atmosphere of uneasiness. Now, why do you think uneasiness is frightful, Defiance?
It is.
I know it is. Why?
Depends on what I think you find scary and whatever. You know, everybody has like their own different thing with Silent Hill. Like I can say for myself, anytime I hear a siren go off, I think of Silent Hill forever now. Or if you see fog, I'm like, oh, big pyramid head daddy's gonna come get me.
And believe it or not, many of you may not know, Pyramid Head did not make his appearance until the second Silent Hill game, which was released on the PlayStation 2, as opposed to the first Silent Hill, which was released on the PlayStation 1.
Mm-hmm.
Little tidbits, as we like to call it. Therefore, so sirens, a herald of danger to come when you cannot necessarily see it. I find that that is a very potent plot device, do you not?
We have that same fog here, Elizabeth.
Do you feel that feeling of uneasiness and a heraldry of danger to be rather unnerving, Defiance?
I am the danger. So
Yes, it is rather it is an interesting usage, you know, that which you cannot see coming forth from you due to a slight, what one might call a memory trigger. Something where every single time one thing happens, you immediately know the other. Some might call that Pavlovian. And the game in and of itself institutes a Pavlovian effect. For those of you that don't know who Pavlov was, he was the gentleman that rang the bell to make the dogs salivate, and did it. When he'd ring the bell, he'd feed the dogs, and ring the bell and feed the dogs, until eventually he'd ring the bell and the dogs would begin to salivate before the food even arrived. Behavioral multiplication and conditioning. And the game does that rather effectively, I feel. Don't you, Defiance?
yep. I think it was the fourth one. They actually, you know how people have the fear of peering into like keyholes? They like played off of that, where like you look through it and then somebody's looking back at you. So they know what they're doing and they like to play off of other people's fears.
Yes.
And that can be seen even when they went into like PT and stuff like that too.
Yes. The unfortunate cancelled sequel that all of us felt the pain of losing.
It hurt my non-existent heart.
And my undead one skipped a beat.
Yeah.
For salt.
It's sad. Very sad.
Every single one of the games had their own individual themes, if you pay mind. Now, you pointed out to the fourth one, which, for those of you who don't know, was subtitled Silent Hill 4, The Room. No Tommy was so here, thank goodness. You're tearing me apart, Lisa. Oh, hi, Brad.
Yep.
You know? Yep. No. The Room played upon the concept of confinement and slow descent into madness. As the game progressed, the room evolved and thus became the staging point for one's own insanity. And of course, the people thing was certainly rather creepy.
Yeah.
But you have the...
Anyone else here play it, though? Like, I would like to know if anyone here has actually played any of the games.
Fire a heart up in the reactions to actually let us see if you have played it. I'm curious to see how many of us have naturally experienced this wonderful series.
I'm the only daddy here.
If you're daddy, then I'm granddaddy.
You can be granddaddy. I will be daddy.
There you go. And, you know, I mean, the fifth game, I believe the fifth game, what was the title of the fifth game in this series? Was it Origins?
I think so.
I think it was Origins, Homecoming. Oh my goodness. There was one that was a remake of the first one. had a picture of a girl upon a swing
Mhm.
set in frozen ice.
I'm trying to look at my shelf across the room.
Hmm.
If anyone needs to know, I'm obsessed with Silent Hill.
As am I, dear. As am I. Several
Pyramid
of
heads going on my leg.
There you go. Oh, why don't you just call me Great Daddy there, Kayla? Uncle Zappy works just as well.
Okay, in
Yes.
order.
Yes.
Silent Hill.
Fantastic.
Silent Hill 2.
Double good.
Silent Hill 3.
Fantastic.
Silent Hill 4 The Room.
The Room.
Silent Hill Origins.
Origins, yes.
Homecoming.
Homecoming.
Shattered Memories.
Shattered Memories was the
Downpour.
one with the girl. And what was the fourth? What was the last?
Downpour.
Downpour, yes.
So it spans from 1999 to 2012.
Mm.
And then in between all of that is when the movies started.
Yeah.
And
it's interesting. Out of all of these games, there is only 2 that follow direct continuity to one another. And that is the first game and the third game was the movie and its sequel, which is returning characters, not returning antagonists. Because let's face it, the second Pyramid Head appeared upon the scene, people fell in love immediately and could not choose to turn away. Although there was one other villain that consistently made an appearance. Do you know its name there, Defiance?
I'm also in love with the nurses, so I get distracted by them. So
True, the nurses. I wasn't even thinking the nurses. Good, very good.
I was say the nurse. There's a lot of different the rabbit too was pretty interesting.
The rabbit made its appearance in the third game.
Yep.
But I'm thinking more of the twisted creatures themselves, such as Velatiel, which was that strange, what's the word here? Entity sitting just out of sight, doing the massive David Lynch shit.
They're coming for my boy, Pyramid Head.
Yes. Oh my, Pyramid Head can't get it up. That's why he can't swing that blade without hefting it. My goodness. Are you trying to antagonize people?
I am. Weird fact, though. It still actually fits with Silent Hill. So, actually with the movie, though. So, I don't know if you know this tidbit, but one of the paintings in the movie was considered cursed. And it's actually in a museum now.
Ah, c'est fantastique.
It's in Vegas.
Yeah.
I saw it. It's kind of creepy.
Is it, what the hell was the name of the piece? I forget the name of it, but I know the painting you're talking about. It's the themes of each of the games. You had the first one where it was the concept of loss. You had somebody that was suddenly grieving the loss of their loved one, the child thus being the embodiment of that love, and then losing that too. Funnily enough, and the game has been out for well over 20 years, so I don't think I'm spoiling anything when I discuss this.
I'm older than the games.
Yes, and I'm way older than the games. The ending, one of the endings of the game, was Mason was found dead in his Jeep, apparently a victim of the collision. Dead. Oh yes, by the way, the protagonist in the first game, they gender swapped it.
Yep.
So that the protagonist in the movie was the mother. Interesting.
And then there was that funny ending with the dog. Yes.
UFO ending.
Yeah.
And then you have the true end, the 2 true endings. The one where the child merges with the creature and thus becomes the demon that must be destroyed, or the goodness that destroys the creature and remanifests as a baby. Very wonderful. Very wonderful. So, you have that theme for the first one. The second one, there was very much philosophical discourse, believing that because the protagonist murdered his wife, that in the very beginning, the opening shot, it was her body in the trunk.
Yep.
Yes. And the embodiment of Pyramid Head was thus his repressed sexual guilt. If you can believe that. Is rather interesting. But then the appearance of Pyramid Head in subsequent films all seem to become some sort of embodiment of a requirement of balance and justice, or an embodiment of guilt itself.
Absolutely.
Yes. And you delved far more into the history of the town in the second game, correct? Or am I remembering that wrong?
I think that's the run. Like, I'll be honest, I love all of them, but sometimes it kind of like, because the game flips in each one, they just kind of all merge, which is good, but then when you're trying to break it down by game, it starts getting messy.
Yes, yes.
It gets messy.
Well, I know in the second game, there was a secondary or an assistant character who, as it turned out, was a female, sort of the embodiment of the sexuality of his wife. She bore a very strong resemblance to her, so thus he was drawn to her. And thus when it came time to save her, he did not, but instead let it die. And thus the plot progressed.
Yeah.
Which made you go, deeper psychological meaning. The writers of this series were, without question, some of the most psychologically thrilling individuals, enough to make Hitchcock roll in his grave in anticipation for the next chapter.
And they've been quoted to talk about, to know people's fear is to, like, you know, have that knowledge. And like Silent Hill 2 was, they did it as like a spin on Crimes and Punishment, but a supernatural version of it.
Yes.
So it was, that's where the guilt part was. They wanted to focus on the morality of guilt and the consequences that each individual has.
And thus facing the dichotomy between one who chose to mask his own guilt by denial, as opposed to facing it as an antagonist.
Which already at that point is already some people's fear of things too. So there's all these different things.
Yes.
In the comments, is there anything that scared you, you listeners? Was there anything in Silent Hill that actually stuck with you or you vibed with, like, fear-wise? Because I think they touch base on a lot of different
They certainly
fears.
they touch upon agoraphobia. They touch upon is it acrophobia? Noctophobia. They certainly touch upon the nyctophobia. My apologies. They certainly touch upon the fear of uncertainty, a building of anxiety, a consistent fear of guilt, sense of twisting of the, what's the word here when you take something and completely violate its innocence. Like in the third game, you saw an amusement park become a downright nightmare, up to and including the stuffed animal mannequins.
Jennifer, if you want to, you can talk, like, the movies, like, do, like, they kind of match with the game. Yes, so you can talk about them too. We're talking about it all together too. So
yes. I mean, the movies,
that amusement park and the mirror were the most popular ones so far.
Oh yes, that mirror. Oh
yeah,
that mirror in the third game alone. No. Well, the first movie touched right down to the camera shots. I had to give the director and cinematography a serious applause.
Yes,
for shot, especially the opening shot, the running through the alley when the strange car creatures started to chase. Oh my goodness, I thought I was watching the game.
Yep.
It was beautiful, beautiful. And then you had the casting of the police officer. That was scarily accurate. You would think that they based the game off the movie, not the other way around. The mannequin, oh dear gods. Yes, that is legitimately a phobia. Fear of mannequins.
The mannequin room.
Oh, yes.
I'm going to suggest to you, if you are in Vegas ever, do not go to Zach Bagans Museum, because there is a mannequin room and you walk by and they kind of like come to life.
Yes.
So.
Do not do the thing.
Yes.
Yes. Well, the first one, they did a slightly merging of the ending
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the first film. The cult leader, Dahlia Gillespie, in the games, as it turns out, was transformed into Christabella, and which was a completely fabricated character for the film. However, you take a look at the character of Dahlia in the first film, which was basically the decrepit mother. She was the main antagonist in the first game. And she was all alone. You never met really any of the other cult members, did you, in any of the games? Or at least
No.
in the first three.
No. And it's interesting because like you don't meet really anybody else, but each person has like a different Silent Hill. Like the town is different because it represents different things for them.
Yes.
Yeah.
There was one scene in the first game that still to this day sticks with me, and I actually feel myself well up. It's when Alice realizes what she is.
Yep.
Yes. The red-coated nurse suddenly stumbling about. You begin to watch her turn into one of the nightmare creatures, and you see the blood streaming from the corners of her eyes because she knows what's coming.
Mm-hmm.
Right to my undead heart. But, you see several different instances of transformation, like in, my goodness, I think was it Homecoming? No. It was Origins. You see the truck driver from the first game. Believe it or not, you see the origins of Alessa. You see her. You see her first. The person that pulled her from the fire. That is who you play as the protagonist in Origins. And there's a reference to him in the first game, or the first movie or the second movie. Somebody gets into a truck to leave, and as it turns out, it's Grady, the protagonist of the first film, protagonist of Origins. So it's like, interesting. Another little tidbit about the crossover between the movies and the games. The soundtrack from the first movie is the soundtrack from the third game.
Yep. I'm going to take a quick dig, though, at Resident Evil. Because, like, I will say, I have a soft spot for Resident Evil. But Silent Hill and Resident Evil did the same thing with drastically different things. Like, if you think about the games, and then they had movies adapted to the games.
Yes.
Whereas Silent Hill stuck. They stuck to their story.
Oh, yes.
The movies went to the story, but, like, Resident Evil, the games changed the movies changed the games, and they just kind of, like, kept playing off each other in this weird spiral, which is kind of why I'm more like Silent Hill, because there's all this weird... If you don't know, I am trained in psychology, as well as my person right there. So it's always fun to, like, view it, because you can, like, analyze your characters as you go, and then each, James with his guilt, and why Pyramid Head comes in there, and the nurses because of his sexual repression and all this, like, stuff. And each person with their own thing, and then you're like, wow, what would mine look like? You get excited, but you also be like, what the fuck would mine be like? Yeah.
It's interesting what a number of the individual phrases that you see written upon the walls. The one that still is the most unsettling to me. It was a message written in blood that said there was a hole here, but now it is gone.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're like, and it's in a room where there are 3 dug graves.
What the fuck? Really?
Exactly.
Yep. You're just like just imagine you just being there though while everything's changing. You're like, oh shit, like.
It is rather.
Yes, Tristan. Yeah, it's like the first burning or whatever. It is considered to be cursed, and I was in the room with the same painting like 2 years ago. So
Blames a lot.
I was in that one. It was that room with that and the Bela Lugosi mirror
Yes.
and a couple other things.
There was something that was rather unsettling in the third game that was really subtle, and they touched upon it. And I think that eventually a creepy poster was written about it. You familiar with the concept of liminal spaces?
Sorry, I just saw Tristan's comment. Tristan, what are you asking about for the event?
There's no event tomorrow.
So I was like, what event? I wanted to quick address that. Keep going. If I see what happens, I'll answer.
Liminal spaces are areas that are meant to be populated and look absolutely inviting when they're populated. But the moment that they're empty, there's no music going, there's no people moving or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
It creates a mass unsettling sensation. Oh, 'tis well, Tristan, 'tis well.
It's fine. We were just confused. I wanted to make sure that your question was answered and not that we were skipping over you, you know?
But yes, liminal spaces, it is said to occur when a person no-clips through reality. You familiar with that common analogy?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. The mall in the third game, near the beginning, that liminal space causes a massive, massive play upon a sense of unsettling nervousness. Walking into the department stores and seeing nothing but near empty racks, no clothing about, no one there, and the light just barely so that you can see. Very unnerving.
Yep.
Did I notice? Am I the only one that noticed that?
No, I noticed that because it made me think of when you were talking about that, it made me think of the movie The Quiet Place or Quiet Place. And you see like in the stores just chip bags. Like none of them are touched. They're just all there and you're just like, ooh, nice little thing. If it's like, because most people aren't paying attention to like what food's on the, but then if you pay attention, there's just like bags of chips because you don't want to open them.
There's other little subtle references in the game too to other aspects of horror, enough to a point like I see what you did there.
Mm-hmm.
Like let's see, you had King Boulevard. For those of you who don't know, the games came with maps that you can immediately pull up and see. And you saw King Boulevard, Bachman Road, Kuntz Avenue, Bradbury Street, Orwell Drive. Are you catching the references here yet?
I am. I'm waiting to see if they catch the references.
Let's see if they do.
That's okay, Jennifer. We'll just say awkward things while you're doing this.
You see, they purposely named all of the streets after horror novelists and those that purposely play upon concept. I think there was even a Hitchcock Road 2. Not 100% sure.
I think so. And to touch base on what James said with the art, in all of the games, a lot of the art reflects back onto the symbolisms that are in the game.
Yes.
So like they just had to go here, and they're like, "Fuck that, we're gonna go right here. We're just gonna go right over the top, and we're gonna be like, Because like I'm one of those gamers that I like to look at everything that's happening in the game. I like to take it all in because I like to analyze what I'm playing. I play a lot of
You're a
horror.
lore junkie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I like to just put it all in my head, do all that stuff, and then you kind of understand the game better to a different appreciation.
It is fantastic, I find.
Yeah.
But then, I mean, a lot of the lore gets muddled in presentation. I mean, the overall theme of all the Silent Hill films and games is the concept of birth and rebirth for the sake of prophecy.
Yep.
Homecoming in particular played very strong in this because they were indicating that rituals were needed in order to be able to propagate prosperity. And while I can certainly understand that, at the same time, the level of creepiness is the best way to put it. When you enter a small town, beyond prevalent. Oh, Midwich School, also a reference to an old, I think, David Lynch film.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly, Kayla. They everywhere.
Yes. I think
They
there
are
was
well aware what they were doing.
I think the first reference to Pyramid Head was made in the first game. There was the painting of the two priests with hoods over their heads and crosses painted upon them in blood. Was that the first or second game?
I know he's introducing the second one. I'm not sure when that was because he's heavily tied in with James in the game.
Well, could you argue that there could possibly be a sense of guilt that Harry Mason was experiencing?
I'm pretty sure he was. There's so much. Like, guys, we could go on for like hours and hours on this game, but we don't have hours.
Yes, hearing that banjo immediately begin to play sets people off immediately. I have half a mind to pull it up, just that initial riff. And I don't think we'll get copy struck for it. Do you think so?
I don't think we should.
Then I shall attempt to at least hit that first note.
That's like for a while, if my phone went off and it was work related, it was the Silent Hill siren.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Do you guys have a favorite?
You hear that, you immediately go, Silent Hill!
Silent Hill! Same as the siren.
Yes. My favorite song is from the third game, though. It's track 25 on the soundtrack itself, titled "I Want Love."
I think someone else earlier said that too. In here.
Letter to Oneself, I believe.
That one, yeah.
That's a good one. That is a good one.
Yeah, Kayla, imagine how I felt. The last city I lived in was very tiny, and there was cliffs on the one side, trees on the other side. So if you have the four sides, and then it was like farm everywhere else, and it gets super foggy. And my house was right next to the tornado siren.
Nice.
And it'd go off twice a week. So I'd be like, no, it's foggy, no.
Defiance, I promise you this. If you ever come to New Jersey, I will purposely make a day trip and drive you out to Centralia, Pennsylvania, which is the town that Silent Hill is based off of.
Yes, I know. It exists.
Yes. There is a town with a consistent state of fog and smoke.
Yep.
Because of a consistent coal fire down below.
They fucked up.
Yep. Good evening, Kimber.
Hello, Kimber.
Into the shadows.
Welcome to the party.
Indeed. But, when you take a look at all the individual symbolism, let's talk gameplay a moment and how that can affect one's psychological capabilities. They truly, truly twisted with people when they made weapons breakable.
Yep.
Yes. And the chainsaw needing fuel that was highly limited. And
Yep.
ammunition in the weapons limited. These kids these days don't know how easy they got it. Back in the days when you could only play through, there was no real major save points. You'd have to play 4 hours before you hit another save point.
There's still some games like that where you have to find, like I'll even reference like old school Resident Evil where you had to find the ink ribbons so you could save. Like, that's not as common now, but like that was the terrible thing. Is you're like, no, I need to save and I don't. And your mom would be like, can't you pause your game? You're like, I can, but I don't want to because like what happens? I don't want to do it.
Right?
Yeah.
Silent Hill series is the reason why whenever somebody picks up a lead pipe, you immediately get a gaming reference.
Yep.
Yes. So many different individual origins that gaming series has. So wonderful. But, you know what it is? What time it is there, Defiance?
Mr. Rogers' time.
It is Mr. Rogers' time.
Do I do the opposite and go down?
It's up to you. Yeah. Because it is harder as hell for me to switch from English to Jersey than it is for you to slip a mask over your face. So by all means.
I mean, I have an accent. I just don't use it. Well, I mean, kind of. You kind of use it, but use the slang. Chili bin.
There we go. Oh. I hope everybody's had a good week. I've had a good week. Silent Hill. Now I want to play, but unfortunately, this is what sucks. I don't know if you know about this, Defiance. They did release a remastered version of the trilogy.
Yep.
But unfortunately, they lost all the original coding for the game. What they had was copies of the betas, but no actual hard coding of the game itself. So it's buggy as hell, jacked as hell. It's like loaded with no. Well, so glad to have your mother in here, Tristan.
Yeah.
Here we go. Rant Commander shirt is on still. Oh my. Ow. It's funny as I got Elizabeth sitting in the bed right now, basically passed the fuck out. Fell asleep in the middle of the stream, which is not uncommon. Ugh. But yeah, it is a real shame. I wanted to get the Silent Hill collection, but then I found out that all of the source coding is so fucked. There's a lot of content that's missing. It's broken. Has a lot of game-breaking bugs. It just made me go, oh no.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no.
See, James, I have that feeling right now, but it's more so with Dino Crisis. I've been like wanting to replay Dino Crisis for like months now. But my PlayStation 1 took a shit on me. So I'm fixing it. I'm fixing it myself. It's just taking me a little bit to, because I work a lot.
As far as like games to play for the sake of nostalgia, I actually downloaded the Symphony of the Night. And oh god, what else did I download that was like a PS? The second Hitman game as well.
Mm-hmm.
I bought the Hitman collection. That was great. Oh man. Because dear, I am more than just an outfit. I am still, forever will be me.
Yes, Dino Crisis. But see, what happens is if I pick a game, I will play that game until I am done, and I will play it for a long time.
Mhm.
So I will be on it. Let's just say the Witcher game, Witcher 3,
I have Kayla.
I played that for a whole straight fucking year because I run around, I do all the things, and I look at everything, and yeah.
Yeah, Kayla, I played through the Suffering. I still have my original PlayStation disc for it.
Yes.
And I still remember that was like the coolest freaking thing ever, seeing the themed ghosts of each of the execution methods up to and including Phineas Gage, the one that died by the electric chair.
Mm-hmm.
I still remember his name. Oh, it's Horace P. Gage. Sorry. I don't know why I'm just thinking Phineas for some reason.
There, you took off your thing, and I took off my horns.
Oh no, those horns are still there. They're just figurative at this point.
You just can't see. You can't see the top of my head. You don't know what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I have horns right now. You just can't see them. Maybe that's why I don't show the top of my head. Ooh. I like to just do everything, so I always do all the quests that I can do. I do everything that I can, whether it's achievements. I try to do as much as I can in one run through, which is why it takes me forever to go through a game.
I'm the same way. I'm a bit of a completionist. The worst thing ever is when you're trying to do that playing Skyrim.
Yeah. Like right now, I'm playing Maid of Sker. I'm probably saying that wrong, but your character has to hold its breath as you're walking through, and it times out. So you'll be doing this. Your character will be doing this, and your character starts blacking out if you hold it for too long, and they'll actually let go on their own. And my person always times that wrong because I'll be like, all right, cool. There's two people. I'm hiding in a closet because it's sound based. So I'll be sitting there, be chilling in the closet, hiding. One of them will open up the door because they can't see you. And I'm like, all right, cool. I'll hold the breath. And then they walk right up to you, and your character's like, and you're like, no. Then you're stuck, and then you're dead, and they have to start over. Yeah.
That's accurate. I see. I liked Skyrim on my Xbone mostly because I was able to mod on my Xbox One, and I purposely got the alternate start mod where you don't start at the back of the fucking carriage. I will purposely start in a shipwreck, and that just made life a little bit more fun. And you don't end up starting the main quest until you go anywhere near Helgen, so it's like, okay, cool. I was just mentioning them, Jennifer.
Yeah, I would say I believe Baron is a PC gamer. I will do it if I'm playing with other people, but otherwise, I'm that weird gamer where I bounce between PC, PlayStation, and Xbox. I just kind of revolve.
I do PC and Xbox. Those are my two. I do mostly PC and Xbox. I avoid first-person shooters because I was living it. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are good ones out there, and there is only one real first-person shooter that I even touched, and that's Payday 2. I don't consider Phasmophobia to be a first-person shooter because it's a first-person paranormal hunter game.
Yeah, it's not a first person, but
yeah. They just oh, by the way, I don't know if you know about this, Defiance. The most recent update, no more dirty water objectives, and they nerfed the hell out of the thermometer. Now you got to hold it on a surface for 5 seconds before it registers the temperature.
Maybe next week we can do that.
Yeah, because that's boss as hell. Well, Chantal, I mean, I futz around with Mortal Kombat a lot, mostly because I need to take some aggression out. But the story, they started doing a story with it a couple of years ago.
Yep.
Like with when they did the game that was just titled Mortal Kombat a couple of years ago. Not talking about the first Mortal Kombat. I think it was like Mortal Kombat 9. They released it, and it was just called Mortal Kombat. It was almost like a reboot, almost. And they just built off of that story. Right down to bringing the characters back, resending it all of it, and you're seeing reimaginings of all the characters. It was done so well. NetherRealm Studios, along with Warner Brothers, really did, hands down, without a doubt, a great reimagining. I'm trying to think what else. The Hitman games themselves, my personal favorites. Whenever I need to take aggression out, the Arkham trilogy. I don't count Origins. You got Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, and Arkham Knight. Those are the only 3 Arkhams.
I beat those games like a dead horse.
Yeah, but did you get all the Riddler trophies in the 3rd?
I did.
I still can't get that one where you have to actually use the Batmobile to shoot all the individual things. There's like 20 freaking things that you gotta hit. I don't know how to do it.
Yeah. Fun little fact. I am also a comic book nerd. So, and my little brother, one of them, is really into Batman. So we bonded over Batman Beyond as children.
Nice.
And now we both like Batman.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, Harley Quinn, she started off in the animated series. She didn't have original comics until the animated series.
Nope.
And one of the most hilarious things I've ever seen was a Reddit post that was posted where somebody said, look at all these fanboys and whatnot like fawning over Harley because she's in an animated series. I liked it back when she first started in the comics. And the freaking person just put, please tell me this person's in serious. Yeah.
That's like the whole, I want a relationship like Harley and Joker. And I was like the after when, you know, she's like independent and doing her own shit kind of thing. Like, you know, maybe like low key seeing Poison Ivy. Like, are you for that one? Like,
you know, a relationship like Harley and Joker. Every single time I hear that, I just do this look. I'm like,
yeah, just vomit in your own mouth about it.
He yeeted her out of a window. He yeeted her off a freaking platform. He yeeted her out of a helicopter. I mean, have we not learned? Oh,
apparently not.
Yeah. So it's so realistic.
Absolutely.
Damn, I had to go there.
You don't love me until you throw me out a fucking window. You want to know what I want for Valentine's Day? I want you to throw me off a helicopter and follow it up by throwing me off the 64th window.
Oh, man. I don't know, Defiance. I've had a rough week. How about you? Have you had a rough week?
I've had a lot of days off, which has thrown me off on my work days.
You're lucky.
But it's not like lucky because I have like open to close shifts and I'll have one day off. And I'll have open to close and I'll have one day off. And it's like open to close, one day off. But tomorrow we have not Craft Beer Corner. It's the like Hellfire Unsocial or something like that. I don't quite remember the new branding name. I am a terrible owner. But you guys should join us. I will actually be there. I am almost never there. So, yes, definitely be there or be square. I'll fight you.
Yeah. I'll be there and getting ripped into. Everybody will love it.
If it makes you feel better, I won't have access to the buttons. So.
Yeah, but Scoop still will.
But most of the time, that's me pushing the button. Going,
no.
It's Adam you have to worry about. It's Nerd Boy.
You see, I got to get access to the button in some way.
Then you would have to do the Hellfire StreamYard.
I'm aware of that, but they usually invite me in as a guest.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I don't have access to the button. Otherwise,
no, you don't have access to the button. I don't have access to the button.
I don't. It would constantly be every single time Scoops opens
my button. I'll just hit my phone. just play static on my phone.
Oh man, I don't know how that joke started.
I don't know, but I know I was the one that was doing most of it on New Year's Eve. So if you guys didn't see that, we rickrolled Baron, and that was you can see Scoops and I sitting there just like, and then you were being serious, and we were gonna rickroll you, and I was like, no, he's being serious. Let's wait till he's done, and then just be like, so at least I was nice enough to not interrupt your serious like, I love you guys, and not be like, you know. Yeah. Where did everyone go? You got quiet all of a sudden. We don't bite. Kind of.
Define.
What?
Define.
Define.
Yeah, define viral.
Define viral what? I didn't say viral. I said everyone disappeared.
Oh. Yeah.
I was just like, where did everyone go? They got quiet.
Because they're enjoying our banter.
Come on, people talk to us. Otherwise, I'll be like,
and then I'll just keep on going. Like freaking Reginald Hargreaves. I'll just go.
I didn't say I bite. I said we might bite. Yeah, we both said that we knew that one. If you're talking about the suffering or whatever, Jennifer.
No, she wasn't. She was talking about some game 17 or 18.
Oh, I don't know. That wasn't enough for me to go off of.
Yeah. It wasn't a first-person shooter, but there were still a lot of PC games that were released around then.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, like 2015 became the advent of Steam, like seriously. Until they really hit their stride.
Anyone have any questions?
Comments?
Some appropriate.
Really dance that line.
Some questions are okay. Just, you know what, you shouldn't really ask people, but.
Yeah, them trying to find a question that would make me blush. It doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen for you. Doesn't happen for me. This is a good Christian family page, guys. Like, I actually found Skittles earlier today. When I sat down. I was like, oh, I found some Skittles. Like, they were right next to my voodoo doll. But I do not have any more Skittles.
I got the theme from Push the Button stuck in my head now. Thank you, Defiance.
Good. Do I have them? Do I have Skittles? I do not have Skittles. I found 2 Skittles from earlier this week, and I was like, oh my god, Skittles. Why did I not get more Skittles? So no, I don't have Skittles, and I'm sad.
Right here. I've been sipping it periodically there, Chantel.
I also do not have fruit snacks, but I did get coffee today twice.
Rock on.
I went to Dunkin'.
I'm going to sleep after this.
I am not going to sleep. Even though I work in like 12 hours. What are both of our plans? Yeah, he's going to sleep. I'm going to go walk my dog at 12 something at night.
Defiance, what's that thing they say that if your mouth actually jets its saliva while your mouth is open, what do they call that again?
I don't know.
There's a legit term for that. I just did that to myself.
I can't do it. I tried.
If your mouth and tongue just happen to be open and up when your mouth saliva jets actually fire, that just happened to me.
What do I do for work? I work at a bakery kind of thing. I pretty much make bagels and bread and cookies and coffee all day. And then when I'm not doing that, I own Hellfire. And when I'm not doing that, I do art pieces and I do commissioned singing parts and stuff. And I work for bands. I don't sleep. Gleeking. I guess that's what it's called.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jennifer called it gleek, and then Tristan called it gleeking, and I'm just like, wait, what?
I can't do that. I don't know.
Everybody can do it. You just gotta actually time it right because there's a certain interval that your body does it.
I don't know. Thank you, Jennifer. I make a lot of bagels in a day, and I get tired of looking at them. So
I just have a really deep mouth and a really versatile tongue. That's the reason why I gleek. Happens to me a lot.
yeah, I live off of coffee at work, so we get free coffee. Pretty much, we can have free coffee, tea, whatever, as long as it's not an espresso drink or a smoothie. So I sit there and I drink coffee all day, and then halfway through I switch to tea, and then I go back to coffee, and yeah.
I sleep on the weekends.
I miss Burger Fuel, James. That's what I miss. I miss Burger Fuel. Send me some. Yeah, we do a lot of cookies. Like
how you doing, Trina? You've been quiet.
a lot of cookies. You know my pain. All the cookies and cinnamon rolls and bagels. And you know what's funny? I don't even eat any of that because I'm on a diet.
You don't need to be, but okay.
I am located in the state of Wisconsin. And I don't like it here.
I'm located in a state of insanity. And it's fun here.
I'm located in the state of slowing decaying every single day. Fun fact about Wisconsin, though, it has created a lot of cannibals and serial killers. So
is Shia LaBeouf from there?
I'm not quite sure. Yes,
he
Tristan,
cannibal?
please send that to my Defiance page, and then I can send it to the right people. I am in charge of sponsored bands and all that cool whatever stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of alcohol here, Jennifer. But I am thinking of moving so I can get out of Wisconsin, where I get buried in snow. I live in a place where the air hurts my face. Barry knows this very well.
Amateur.
I mean, it's Wisconsin, though, so.
Oh, man.
It's like that year round.
Bristol? Have you ever been to the Renaissance Fair at Bristol?
Yeah, I worked there a couple times as a corset person.
Okay, you're gonna love this then, Defiance. You know that giant statue of the jester?
Mm-hmm.
You know who that is a statue of?
Mm-mm.
That's a statue of Stacy Hicks.
Hmm.
He was the one that trained me in my acting abilities at the New York Fair.
Oh, that's a tiny little world, huh?
Yeah.
Don't come to Cali. I used to live in Vegas, but it's close enough. I lived in Vegas for a bit. Yeah, I know. Burger Fuel. Burger Fuel.
All right, folks. I think we're going to wrap it up for tonight. I want to thank every single one of you wonderful people for coming on tonight. It is really awesome to see so many of you drops of shadow popping in, and I am so thankful for Defiance deciding to grace us with their chaotic presence. So...
and then tomorrow when I'm drinking.
Yes, and tomorrow when I am drinking. My goodness. So, sleep well, dream sweet, and as I say, good night, sleep tight, and if you ask nicely, maybe I'll bite. Good night.
Bye.